Welcome to this webinar. This is all about how functional testing can help you lose weight. We have a little agenda here, so this is kind of the rough outline of what's going to happen today. And like I said, I'm going to stay on at the end, so if you guys have specific questions, more than happy to answer them. I'm just going to plow through this. So if you have questions or something that pops up, put them in the chat box and I'll get them at the end. So yeah, rough agenda, who I am, why you're not getting answers from traditional blood work or traditional doctors. And I'm just going to point out, I am not a hater when it comes to conventional medicine. I am very thankful it exists. Obviously, I am thankful for medications that are keeping me healthy, but I do think there are just some shortcomings as far as what traditional doctors do and kind of where they leave you hanging. So I'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the Dutch test, which is the dried urine test for comprehensive hormones. And that's a hormone test, and I love it. It's super comprehensive, just as the name says, but it can tell you so many different things, and it's very actionable as far as the data that you get. We'll also talk about the HTMA, which is a mineral test. It's looking at your hair as a tissue. So it's a hair tissue mineral analysis. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about our 6-month functional testing program. So if you are interested in doing one-on-one coaching, starting in the new year, or I mean, if you want to start during the holidays, that's fine too. But just want to point out, if you're somebody that wants to hit the ground running in January, it's a really good time now to sign up because we need to do some of the behind the scenes stuff as far as the testing, getting those tests to you, sending them to the lab, you know, all the things, all the behind the scene things. So if you're somebody that's like, yes, I want to do this in 2023, put this on your radar that you need to sign up sooner or later. I do kind of have a deadline, but we're flexible. You know, I understand that timing is everything and it's the holidays and there's a lot going on. So I'll talk about that when we get there. And then I do have a special offer for you if you are going to sign up, as far as getting some freebies and saving some money and all that good stuff. I am Tina Haupert. Some of you have followed me for a really long time. I definitely recognize some names. I think some of you have kind of grown up with me. I started this blog, Carrots and Cake, back in 2008 as a way to shape up and just get healthy as far as my wedding went, because I was engaged to be married. I just wanted to look good, feel good. And I really just started documenting my workouts and my nutrition and all that good stuff. And from there, it just grew. I mean, started having tons of followers. I was getting 1 million views and more a month. It was a crazy time in my life. But I did the whole influencer thing for a really long time, you know, sponsorships, traveling, all that good stuff. And then I ended up doing some nutrition coaching, and I started with macros. I love macros. I think they can be really, really helpful, but they are just one tool of many as far as losing weight, changing your body composition, feeling better, just being more aware of your food choices. So in Carrots and Cake, as far as our one-on-one nutrition program goes, like, we use them and we like them, but they're definitely not required because I have seen the good and the bad of macros. So just wanted to point that out. But wanted to lead into a segue as far as my macro diet cookbook. That was a really fun project, and it still is selling on Amazon. Makes me and Barnes and Nobles, but makes me really happy. And it really is like a straightforward, you know, get it done in the kitchen type approach to cooking. So that's my background there. But my point with the whole macro thing is that's where I started as far as one-on-one nutrition coaching goes, and did the macro thing for a long time. And like I said, I saw the good, the bad, the ugly. And with some clients, they would get amazing results. They would lose weight, they would build muscle, they would feel better. And then I had other clients that they wouldn't get results, or they wouldn't get good results, or they'd be really frustrated and the macros would make them crazy. And it just didn't help them. And I just felt like there was more to the story when it came to macros, because I also had those people that were hitting their macros, doing everything right, but they weren't seeing the body composition changes that they wanted. So I just knew there was more to the story. And then also I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis back in 2011, and I've struggled with it health-wise. But I ended up becoming an FDN practitioner, which is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And we really use functional testing and nutrition to help our clients feel better and get results and whatnot. So I basically have brought that to my nutrition coaching. And I just think the functional testing can be so helpful and useful in so many ways. And I love it. I love it. I think it is fascinating, and it has helped me get really good results. And I just think for getting, or more having a more targeted approach to your approach to fat loss and changing your body, it can be so helpful because, as I say to all my clients, and I joke around, like, there's a million things that you can do to get healthy. And I mean, you can throw spaghetti at a wall all day long, and if you're not doing the right things, you're just not going to get the best results. So with the functional testing, it's a much more targeted approach. You just get better results. On the personal front, I'm a mom. This is my son, Quinn. This is actually from last summer or 2 summers ago. So he's 8 now, 8.5, if you ask him. Although he says, I'm almost 9. And I'm like, you're not almost 9, dude. You're like almost 8.5. And this is my husband, Mal. He's a teacher. He's awesome in every way. And this is our elderly senior dog who is here on the floor, keeping me company. And he is the love of my life, in addition to my husband and my son. Okay, so let's start at the beginning here. So why you're not getting answers from blood work, or you're getting non-answers, as I say. So I was that person. I, have a great doctor. I've worked with all sorts of doctors over the years. Again, not poo-pooing doctors and what they do. They are great people. They want to help people. I get that. But I just felt like I was running the blood work. I was doing the things and everything would come back normal. And it was so frustrating because I didn't feel normal. Like, I really struggled with hormonal imbalance after coming off the pill and trying to like write my hormones and everything. And it was just so frustrating. And these are like 3 main reasons why you're just not getting the answers, or you're just not seeing results, or you're getting that like dead end. Like, your doctor runs all the tests and they're like, everything's fine. And you're like, but I'm not. I'm having these terrible symptoms. I don't feel like myself. I feel like crap. Help me. So basically, reference ranges aren't optimal ranges. And you may have heard this before, but the conventional reference ranges are determined by the highs and lows within the general population, which includes healthy people and unhealthy people. And really, like, if you want to feel your best, you need to be in that optimal range. That those conventional ranges are wide. And if you're not feeling your best, yeah, they probably need to be a little bit more narrow as far as that functional range goes. And the perfect example, like working with one-on-one clients, is like the thyroid ranges, the glucose ranges. Like, the thyroid range for conventional medicine, I think, is like 1, or for TSH is, I don't know, 1.5 to like 5.5. That's a huge range. And I mean, I see it all the time when I'm reading blood work, that these women, their TSH is like 5, 5.5, things like that. And their doctor says, everything's normal, you're fine, but they feel like crap. They're having all the symptoms of low thyroid, as far as hair falling out, weight gain, low energy, dry skin, dry hair, being cold all the time, constipation. And I'm just like, that's not normal. Like, you're not feeling your best. Like, those ranges don't make sense. So for functional, we really want it, up to 2, 2.2, like somewhere in there. So if you're over on that, as far as like TSH goes, like, you're kind of like out of range when it comes to functional testing. And then, of course, is the whole thing that TSH is really the signal from the brain to the thyroid. It's not telling you how much thyroid hormone your body is making and if it's in that active form. So like, you really need a little more information than just the TSH. And a lot of times doctors will run that TSH, say it's normal, and then everything stops there. And like, you just don't get help. You don't get the answers that you need. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating, guys. I have been there. Also, what's common isn't normal. And you probably heard me say this a few times in the past, that like, yeah, you hit your late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, 50s, and like, you start gaining weight. It's super common. I see it all the time with women, but it doesn't mean it's normal. And a lot of times, like, when you're seeing these symptoms, whether it's hormonal imbalance, thyroid stuff, weight gain, typically those symptoms show up well after the dysfunction has happened. So like, those symptoms are telling you something is wrong. So like, it's just the fact that, like, I think a lot of this goes under the radar, or, doctors are telling you that you need, anti-anxiety meds or things like that. They're just kind of blowing things off, or like, oh, this is just kind of what happens when you get older. And I just don't believe that. I think you can go into your 40s, into menopause and all that, and feel really good. Like, you shouldn't feel crappy all the time. And I think we owe it to ourselves that we should feel awesome every single day. And I really believe that, because when I was going through my hormonal imbalance stuff, I felt like a crazy person. I was miserable. I was always annoyed. Like, I think I've told this story before too, but I remember Mal walking behind me as I was doing dishes and just being like pissed off that he existed. You know what I mean? And I just was a mess. I just did not feel great. And I mean, honestly, nowadays, I mean, it's been years for me to like work this all out and figure it out and everything. You know, I obviously want to help people have a more direct path than me going all over the place trying to get answers. But I feel really good most of the time. I'm happy most days. I feel like my mood is stable. I have energy. I feel like a different person. All right. And number 3 is what blood tests show often require further investigation. And a lot of doctors don't do the further investigation, or they're referring you to a specialist. And I just feel like you have to jump through hoops to get what you want, or insurance doesn't cover it, or you need a specialized test that's super expensive. And it stinks. I think it's just like a lot of work on our part to get what we need. And again, I don't dislike doctors. I think there's really, really good doctors out there, but it's like hairdressers, mechanics. There's good hairdressers, good mechanics, bad hairdressers, bad mechanics. So I think it's like doctors too. But example is like if you have low progesterone on a blood test or low thyroid on a blood test, you know, you don't just wake up like that one day. Like a lot of things have happened to get you to that point. And I think a lot of times a doctor will say, oh, you have low progesterone, you have low thyroid. And it's just the only solution is the pill or thyroid meds. And nothing wrong with medications, again, like not poo-pooing them. I just think there's things that you can do as far as diet and lifestyle that can get you really good results. And if you need the medication, you need the medication. But I'm like, let's try some of these other things first before we jump to the meds. So these are all the reasons you're not getting answers from blood work. And blood work is really, really helpful. So like if you're testing your thyroid, you need to test it through blood. If you're testing your fasting glucose, you need to test it through blood. So there's reasons why we use blood work and it's good, but I just think the traditional annual checkup, like that type of stuff, is just not as helpful. Okay, so let's get into these tests. So as far as what we use over here at Carrots and Cake, we use the Dutch test and we use the mineral test. And I'll explain why we use those and why they can really complement each other. This is the dried urine test. Basically what happens, it's an at-home test. You take it on a very specific time frame in your cycle. And from that, we can make certain assumptions about what is happening with your hormones. And these bullet points here are basically the ways that, or the metrics or the markers on the test that can give us insight into what's going on with why you're gaining weight, why you can't lose weight, why they can give us more information about X, Y, and Z in your life that can help you as far as like moving that dial towards your goals and your body composition goals. But how the test works, it's a little kit, comes to your house, just delivered in the mail. And basically you urinate on these little strips of paper at certain times of the day, and they dry and you mail them back to the lab. And what they're looking at, or what the Dutch precision analytical people are looking at, are the metabolites in your urine from these different hormones. So it's a fascinating test and just gives you so much information. Okay, so this is a sample of the first page of the Dutch, and I'm not going to get too much in the weeds, guys. I love the science and I could talk all day about this test because I love it so much, but just wanted to give you kind of the lay of the land and some of the things that you would learn from this test. So this is the first page. This is your traditional sex hormones here. So if you went to the doctor and got your blood work done, you would check your estrogen, your progesterone, testosterone. So these are the typical estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. These little dials are called the fan dials, and it's because they're little fans. And the stars is where you want to be if you are somebody who is menstruating. And over here is the postmenopausal range if you're somebody who is in menopause, because you still have some hormones, they're just a lot lower, so the reference ranges are adjusted. But for this one, this is a good example of estrogen being super duper high, like it is off the charts high. And then this woman has low progesterone. So that's the typical estrogen dominance. This you probably heard me talk about a million times, but estrogen is out of balance compared to progesterone. But that is when you have all those terrible PMS symptoms, heavy periods, painful periods, cramping, sore breasts, skin issues, mood swings, headaches, migraines, night sweats, like all the things, because estrogen is just out of balance compared to progesterone. And then testosterone, which is a good measure. You can tell this is low here, but testosterone is very much needed for building muscle, having a libido, having energy, having motivation. So this gives us insight into what's going on with those things. And of course, if you're somebody who is struggling to build muscle, this is really good information to have as far as what's going on. Also, the Dutch measures your cortisol pattern. So those multiple samples throughout the day give us an idea of what's happening to your cortisol throughout the day, because there is a normal cortisol pattern that happens every day. So this section here is the different samples that you take. You can see there's a waking, a morning, an afternoon, and a night. And the black here is the reference range. This is kind of like the higher end, and this is the lower end down here. And the red is the client. But it's very normal. Like you wake up, you have a little bit of cortisol, and then it peaks kind of mid-morning. And that's when most women feel pretty good, like 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, like kind of kicking butt, taking names, like you feel your best. And that's a normal response. You want that spike, and it makes perfect sense. Like you need cortisol and energy during the day. And as the day goes on, it's going to get a little lower and lower. And so if you're somebody who's crashing in the middle of the night, or in the middle of the afternoon, you can see this patient. She is very low cortisol. You can see this is how much cortisol she made in 24 hours. Very low. She's probably not feeling great. But that afternoon slump where you want some sugar or caffeine or something like that, and then night, you just hit the pillow and you are out. And if you're somebody who has that like wired and tired feeling at night, where like you know you're tired, but your brain's running a million miles a minute, like sometimes we see the dots like up here, just because like your cortisol is super high at night, and like we don't want that. Like we don't want high cortisol at night. You want to go to sleep. So this person, she's struggling with low cortisol. This is something I have talked about and experienced myself. High cortisol eventually becomes low cortisol. And when you're in that low cortisol phase, like you are in the exhaustive phase of stress and just feeling your best. Like you're in burnout basically. And that's what this client was. That's what I've been. But yeah, you just don't have the get up and go that you need anymore. So really like somebody we're seeing this pattern, it's about rest. It's about doing less. It's about sleeping, probably managing blood sugar. I mean, this could be a sign that there's something going on with blood sugar, because blood sugar and cortisol are very, very tied. If cortisol goes up, glucose is going to go up. So this could be a little insight into something that's going on there. So like I was saying, this is how much cortisol this person produced in 24 hours, definitely on the low side. And this is that cortisol getting to the cells and doing what it needs to do? And I'll talk about that in a second, because there is a pattern here that is common as far as some of our thyroid patients go. Thyroid clients. I am not a doctor. I don't treat anybody for anything specifically. Okay, so that previous slide was low cortisol. So like I was saying, high cortisol eventually becomes low. And I can speak to this. There was a time in my life where I was running carrots and cake. I was doing this meal planning business, and then I was doing a nutrition software business, and I had a toddler at home and I had a hormonal imbalance. No wonder. But I could do all the things. I was doing the hard workouts. I was working a million miles, and I felt like I did have the energy. Like I was saying, kicking butt, taking names. Like cortisol is a good thing. Like it gives you energy and adrenaline and all that. But eventually that high cortisol becomes low cortisol. So this patient, she's the opposite. She's got high cortisol. She is off the charts. Like they had to adjust this reference range to show where she was. So here we go, super duper high. And she was a client who she wasn't sleeping. Like she just was so wired throughout the day. And you know, some of it could be nutritionally related or whatever, but I mean, hers was lifestyle, 100%. So like for her, it was really about slowing down, doing less, because her cortisol was just wreaking havoc on her life. She was having blood sugar issues, cravings, weight gain, all that good stuff. So, or bad stuff. It's not good stuff, it's bad stuff. But this just gives you an idea of like what's happening with your cortisol. Like, like why are all these symptoms happening? And so this was a slide in a Dutch presentation that I watched a few weeks ago. So I just wanted to add this in. So, you know, like I said, cortisol is not a bad thing. It's anti-inflammatory. It can be good for a lot of reasons, but the issue is when it's chronic, like you're just having that output of cortisol like all day long, every single day. Sometimes it's like that low grade like cortisol response, like every single day you're putting out fires, running around like a lunatic. But it can really mess with your blood sugar. And every time that glucose comes out, insulin needs to come out. Insulin needs to put that glucose where it needs to go. But insulin, it's wonderful for a lot of reasons. It grows babies, it grows muscles, it also grows fat cells. So if you're somebody that's like super duper stressed, you might see some weight gain as far as like belly fat and things like that. And it's 100% because you were super duper stressed. And I think what goes hand in hand with that is cravings, sugar cravings, blood sugar issues, like you eat a meal and 90 minutes later you're hungry. There's a lot of things that go hand in hand as far as stress and weight gain, or fat loss resistance. And then of course, there's other issues that go along with it: immune suppression, chronic fatigue, GI issues, cardiovascular concerns, sex hormone imbalances. Like when you are super duper stressed, your body is not prioritizing those sex hormones. And that's where, you know, things can get imbalanced. I mean, progesterone is one of the first to go. Testosterone is one of the first to go. And if you have that imbalance, you're going to have irregular periods, heavy periods, low libido, all the things that we don't want. Another part of the test, this is probably like page 3 or something, but a couple of things to point out here. So here, there's something called aromatase, and this is very much attached to fat gain, fat loss, but it's basically testosterone turning into estrogen, and these androgens over here turning into estrogen. And so the perfect example is a man who has man boobs or like a beer belly or something like that. Their testosterone is literally turning into estrogen, but that's why some people gain weight. So this client, you know, she's got low testosterone, but look at this estrogen. She's having some major aromatase stuff happening here. And the thing about estrogen is estrogen and fat cells kind of have this like cyclical relationship. Like estrogen feeds fat cells feed estrogen. So if you are overweight or obese or something like that, your estrogen levels are probably on the higher side, or could be on the higher side. I guess it kind of depends on the person. But obviously we want to stop this process from happening. And there are certain things we can do as far as that goes. I mean, inflammation is definitely a driver of this, blood sugar issues, insulin resistance, things like that. So working on the diet, getting more protein, eating balanced meals throughout the day. There are certain supplements that can help as far as saw palmetto and pomegranate, and DIM can help sometime, and green tea extract, and, you know, mushrooms. There's like different things that can help as far as this aromatase process goes. But, you know, that's something we can work into your plan, you know, as far as like what to eat and maybe how to supplement and to, you know, lower inflammation through diet and lifestyle. So it's, you know, little things that like really add up as far as what you're doing. But this is good information to have, because if you ran that blood test, you would get it back and it would say low testosterone. Cool. And like that would be the end of it. So this is helpful in the sense that like you kind of know what's happening with these hormones, and from there you can make an action plan. And obviously what we do at Carrot to Cake, not a doctor, can't diagnose, can't treat you for anything specifically, but we will absolutely push you in the direction of good nutrition, good choices, having a macro balanced plate, looking at your lifestyle, looking at your exercise, and help make recommendations. So all of this works together, so you can get the best results and not just go home with lab results that say low testosterone and not knowing what the hell to do. That's my spiel. And then this is another thing to point out. This is a different example. So over here, so up here, should probably explain this a little bit. Sorry, I could talk about this test all day. So pregnenolone, this is at the top here. This is like the master of all hormones, the grandfather of all hormones. And then if there was a bubble up here, it would be cholesterol. So anybody here who's vegetarian or vegan and your hormones are messed up, could be a little push to have some cholesterol and meat in your diet, which I can't tell you what to do. It's your decision, but you can't unknow that information. But you need cholesterol here to make these hormones. That's why I'm always talking about meat. I just think it's so important as far as nutrition. Meat is super nutritious, has amino acids, it has protein, all of that, and fats. All of that is needed to make these lovely hormones that we have here. But anyways, pregnenolone turns into DHEA. It also turns into progesterone and these various hormones, yada, yada. But the thing to point out here is that these androgens over here, there's 2 different pathways that they can go down, the alpha pathway and the beta. And when they go down this alpha pathway, a lot of times you'll see androgenic symptoms. So a lot of it is sometimes fat gain, things like that, but acne, hair loss, oily skin, hairs where you don't want them if you're a woman, anger, rage, irritability, could be blood sugar issues, things like that. But again, this is giving us information like why are those androgens going down this pathway? But there's, again, things we can do as far as, you know, blocking this pathway and trying to redirect these androgens down a different way to help as far as fat loss, symptoms, and just feeling better. All right, so this is a little transition to the hormones, to the minerals. So the reason why we run these tests together, because the minerals in your body run the enzymes that run your hormones, which basically means if you have hormonal imbalance, you probably have some sort of mineral imbalance. So this is just a nice little visual here about like all the ways that your hormonal symptoms might be related to your minerals. So like fatigue, don't have enough minerals, don't have enough magnesium, or copper, because those things are needed to make energy. Period pain, a lot of times can be because you're deficient in magnesium. Insulin resistance can be driven by low potassium levels because, you know, there is this insulin-like effect on our cells. Estrogen can be related to copper or iron and how they impact estrogen. PMS, you know, it's often related to that low progesterone like we saw, but you need certain minerals to support that progesterone, copper and zinc and selenium, magnesium, potassium. And then the thyroid, super fascinating on the HTMA, but there's certain minerals that you need for that too, which we'll get into the thyroid stuff. Super interesting. But basically just saying these things are very much connected, and that's why we run these two tests together. Okay, so cliff notes on the hair tissue mineral analysis. So the HTMA is a cellular test. It is looking at your hair as far as it being like a dead tissue, cells and whatnot. And basically what happens from your hair, like you can cut like a little piece of hair from the back if you have long hair, you'll never miss it, you'll never know, it's gone. But we can make certain assumptions about what's happening in your hair could be happening in other tissues and organs and things and like that in your body. So it's a really accessible and easy test. You can run it every 3 or 4 months. It's super duper helpful. And I think if you focus on the minerals and nutrition, you can see some like pretty significant changes. And if you're somebody who struggles with fatigue, it's absolutely, or could very much be related to your mineral status, because the minerals are literally our spark plugs, and our cells need energy to work properly, to heal the body, to do the things that they need to do. And if you don't have that spark in your cells, you're just going to feel like junk. Your body's not going to work properly, and you're going to have imbalances as far as hormones, how you feel, all the things. So there's different sections of this test, which I'm going to try to highlight. Again, I'm trying not to get too much of the weeds on this. And, you know, if you sign up to become a client, like I go through all this with you, and I think I, you know, explain it for your specific situation. This is kind of like the general talk of it. So hopefully this is not too much information and it's super helpful to you. But anyways, there's a section on the test called the macro minerals, and it's right here. I do have a better visual of this, but calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. And the reason why these 4 minerals are so important, why we call them the macro minerals, is that they make up 80 to 90% of the minerals in our body. Like they are a big chunk of what's happening in our body. I mean, you think about calcium, I mean, our whole skeleton and our teeth, that is calcium. That's a big portion of minerals in our body. But they are helpful because they give us insight into hormones. So specifically the thyroid, the adrenals, the amount of stress that our body is under. So for our first test, maybe even a second test that we run, we're really focused on balancing these 4 minerals because they make up the majority of the minerals in the body. And then from there, there's secondary minerals, tertiary minerals, these toxic elements, all that. And then also what's really important is the ratios, which I'll show you on a different slide. But these ratios of minerals can tell you what's going on as far as your autonomic state. Are you in fight or flight? And also it's really interesting is that depending on whether this is high or low, it can give us insight into an apple-shaped body or a pear-shaped body, which I think is fascinating, just like where people hold their weight. So again, very much connected to fat loss and whatnot. The thyroid ratio can give us insight into the cellular function of thyroid. And I made a point to put that in there because a blood test is telling you how much thyroid is in your blood at that moment in time. So, you know, do you have thyroid hormone? Do you have the active form of thyroid? This is telling you, like, is that thyroid getting to the cells? And I almost think like that's more important. Like if you have thyroid hormone, cool, but is it getting to the cells? Is it doing what it needs to do? So that's why this is a helpful test to see, you know, are your thyroid or the cells and the thyroid receptors getting what they need? Every cell in our body has a thyroid receptor on it. So Just super interesting. Calcium, magnesium can tell us about blood sugar. Oftentimes it does correlate to what we see in blood work, but high or low blood sugar. Sodium, magnesium has to do with the adrenals and the stress on the body and whatnot. So it just gives us like a lot of good info. And then there's individual minerals, but there's certain little things that we can grab from them. So low potassium, like I said, it can increase insulin resistance. I see low potassium all the time on tests, all the time, which is me telling you to drink your adrenal cocktails and eat more potatoes and bananas and avocados and coconut and all that. Like I see it all the time. I see like ones. I see ones on tests a lot. Low magnesium, like I was saying, it regulates metabolism. Obviously, we want to make sure our metabolism is working well. So low magnesium, I mean, I don't want to say it's an easy fix, but you could eat foods that are high in magnesium. You could supplement with magnesium. If you are feeling really run down, you feel like you have fatigue, another reason to have more magnesium, but it can make fat loss harder if you are somebody that is deficient. High iron and copper related to estrogen dominance. So again, there's just a correlation there. And then I had mentioned PMS is often related to low progesterone. So there's certain minerals that you need to support that progesterone. All right, so another cute little slide, thyroid insights on the HTMA. These different minerals, I won't go through every single one, sorry. Trying to make sure we're good on time. But there's different minerals that are associated with the thyroid, and it can just be really, really helpful as far as making sure you're getting enough of these and seeing what levels you have. I mean, I see a ton where people have like super low selenium, super low magnesium, super low potassium. They either have no copper or super high copper, not enough sodium, all these things. So like you can run the HTMA and see that you're deficient in these or you're losing these in your hair. And it's just a place to focus on certain foods that have these minerals in them, or maybe do a little bit of supplementation, kind of depends on the client. This is what you can learn about blood sugar. Blood sugar very much related to fat gain, fat loss, cravings, energy levels, mood. Like if you get super hangry between meals, could be a blood sugar thing going on. But these are all the different ways that the body uses minerals and can help as far as blood sugar, insulin sensitivity, all that good stuff. So these are the macro minerals, like I was saying, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. These are the spark. That's why we're always talking about electrolytes, sodium, potassium. You need your spark. And the example that I always give people is that if you were to run a marathon, triathlon, half marathon, and at the end of that race or that endurance event, if you were to collapse at the end, a medic or a nurse would come over to you and give you electrolytes. Like you need these things to function properly, to have energy, like your cells need them. So that's why I'm always talking about this adrenal cocktail and electrolytes and everything. And without these, like you're just not going to feel your best. And also an example of this is when you are stressed out, like running is a physical stress, like a marathon or something like that. These are the first things to lose our body. So like, an example, like when I was training for the Boston Marathon, I would run and run and run for hours, yada, yada, you know how marathon training goes, but my skin would be salty afterwards. And that was literally the sodium leaving my body and just ending up on my skin. But yeah, if you're stressed out all day long, putting out fires, you're losing sodium. I mean, it's not to the extent of, running an endurance event, but your body is losing these important electrolytes when you are stressed emotionally, mentally, all the things that happen from day to day. So it's just really important to replenish these. And then the other thing I wanted to point out on this one is something called a calcium shell. You can see this person's calcium is like off the charts here, one of the highest I've seen. The reference range is like here, like she's way above, way above. But basically a calcium shell is anything over 170, and it's really just out of balance as far as what's going on with the thyroid. So the calcium to potassium, like these are just totally out of balance. But the interesting thing about calcium, it can almost make the cell or like the outside of the cell almost like, I don't want to say hard. It's not like hard like calcium, but kind of like sticky, or it's just not as easy for that thyroid hormone to get into the cell. So this calcium shell is something that you need to like break up. And there's certain things that you can do as far as minerals go, but simply like breaking up this calcium shell, adding more potassium, doing the right things as far as the thyroid goes can make your thyroid work better in the sense that it is more sensitive to thyroid hormone. So it's like really, really fascinating how calcium can be kind of, I I don't want to say a bad thing. Calcium's not bad. Like, we need calcium, it's good, but it can cause issues. And I mean, I have seen other people where they have these like really high calcium levels and they're getting like bone spurs and things like that on their fingers, and like other issues as far as like joint pain and things like that. I'm trying to think what else. Fat loss for sure is an issue there because the thyroid is tied together, but it's interesting just seeing these like minerals like a little out of whack. This pattern I see a ton too. It's called the 4 lows pattern, where the 4 macro minerals are all low compared to the reference range. I see this a lot with people who are super duper stressed, people who have GI issues who aren't absorbing minerals well. So, you know, Crohn's, colitis, that type of stuff, or just people who, you know, don't eat well, like might have like a poor diet as far as what they're consuming. And then also moms, because if you think about what a mom does during 9 months of pregnancy, they are growing a baby. The placenta is doing what it needs to do. Like, that little human is taking all your minerals and vitamins and everything. You have that baby, and then it leaves you kind of depleted, especially if you're a woman who's had like back-to-back kids and you're feeling tired. Could be because your minerals are a little depleted. So for this type of client, it's really about drinking those adrenal cocktails, getting good sources of food, and getting these numbers back up. And then also wanted to point out this copper. This is definitely elevated, and copper toxicity, sometimes this can be super duper low or it can be super duper high. So it kind of depends what's going on, how much is coming out in the hair. But copper can make you tired. Copper can also make you crazy if you're having like mood issues, PMS, things like that. But often we'll see this high or super low when somebody has a history of being on the pill, copper IUD, sometimes just the regular like Mirena IUD. The pill is definitely a big culprit. Like, anybody that's been on it more than 4 or 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, those people, myself included, we'll see this pretty high. And, you know, copper can cause issues for sure. Definitely with hormones, definitely with mood. And then these are the different ratios. Like I was saying, each of these ratios is associated with different systems in the body and can give you different types of information. So the calcium, phosphorus, this is the fight or flight, gives you information about how your body is dealing with stress or not dealing. The sodium, potassium is vitality and stress. Sometimes they call this like the life or death ratio. It's like so dramatic or whatever. But, you know, if it's super duper high, sometimes we can relate that to PMS symptoms. If it's inverted, which is like super interesting, can relate to sugar cravings, weight gain, you know, things like that. So there's a lot of like information we can get from these ratios. This is a thyroid ratio. You can see this person is super high. She's at 91. Zinc, copper, a lot of times this is related to copper overload, zinc infections, things like that. Kind of depends what we're looking for. Sodium, magnesium is the adrenals. Like, are you stressed out? Like, how stressed out are you? The low can be associated with fatigued, like decreased stamina when it comes to like working out and things like that. Could be related to weight gain, poor digestion. Like, you can't digest like meat and protein, that causes issues. So again, just giving us like clues into what's going on. Calcium, magnesium is related to blood sugar, high or low. I think we always hear about like high blood sugar, but like low blood sugar is an issue for a lot of people too. And then the iron copper is super interesting as far as copper toxicity, digestion, infections, stuff like that. So just fascinating as far as these ratios go. Oh, I went ahead. So anyways, this is about our program. This is where I sell you on how awesome we are, guys. And if you want to work with us, I just want to give you all the details. And I did kind of spin this as like a free discovery call. So I just wanted to give you all the details. If you're not interested in working with us, I will not be offended. Hopefully you found all the information presented to be helpful. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you about what we do over here, and I don't know, maybe how our approach is different. Because like I said, I came from that macro world. I know there's a lot of macro companies out there where you got to hit your macros and they just keep cutting your fat lower and lower until you're down to like 30 grams of fat. And I'm like, how are you feeling? How are your hormones? But yeah, we have a very, very holistic approach to what we do. And I think where we excel is just being as personalized as possible. because I always say, like, the more we know about you, the more we can help you. And we are not a cookie cutter program. Like, we don't just give people macros and send them on their way. It really is a holistic approach in the sense that we're looking at your lifestyle, we're looking at your stress, we're looking at your sleep, we're looking at your period and how your cycles are. Not that you have to have a period. We work with women in their in menopause and whatnot. But we just have a really personalized approach. So at Carrots and Cake, we have 2 tracks of the program. They're both 6 months long, and we have a longer 6-month program. I know, in the past I've done 8-week programs, 3-month programs, things like that. And those are all fine. But the 6 months I just think is important because change takes time. Habits take time, that sustainability takes time. And we just want to make sure you have enough time to see true changes, because the people who, want those quick results, I can crash diet anybody. Anybody can lose weight quickly if they like starve themselves. But like, how long does that really work? Like, you're going to gain the weight back. You're going to be miserable. You're going to screw up your hormones and your thyroid and whatever else. So with our 6-month program, it really is, we want it to be a transformative experience in the sense that, like, this is like a forever solution. Like, you do our program and that's it. Like, you don't have to keep doing programs. You don't have to jump from this program to this program to this program. You did our program, you found something that works for you, and you feel really confident going off on your own once the program has ended. So we just believe that, what you're doing for these 6 months should be part of your lifestyle, like moving forward. It's just a better way to get results. And I think it makes you less crazy because, like, you don't have this like short amount of time that you need to do all these like crazy restrictive things. Like, you have 6 months to figure it out. And obviously you have a coach there to support you and whatnot. The 2 tracks are the functional testing track, and then we have the straight up nutrition coaching where we use macros a lot of the time. You don't have to use them. You can just focus on your nutrition, but that track is really focused on support, accountability, maybe macros if you want to do it. We do focus on lifestyle and the holistic perspective, but this track, this functional testing program that I'm going to talk about, is the one that is based on these tests and the functional testing and everything. So this one, how it works is you get, when you sign up, you get a Dutch test and an HTMA. And those are the 2 tests that I just talked about. But basically what happens, the first month, I want to put month in quotations, you work on running these tests, doing them at home, sending in your samples to the lab, getting the results and everything. And during this time, we have some paperwork for you to fill out as far as your medical history and your symptoms and all that. The 2 of us will do an intake call because I really want to get all the details from you as far as what your goals are, getting really clear on your goals, your symptoms, what's going on with you, what's worked, what hasn't worked, like just making sure I have all the data. So when I get those test results, I can correlate what's going on and create an amazing protocol for you. And what I was saying, the first month in quotations, like sometimes clients get this all done within a month, within 4 weeks. I have other clients, I don't know what they're doing. But it takes them a lot longer to do the testing. And especially with like the Dutch, you have to time it to a certain time in your cycle. So sometimes it takes 6 weeks, it takes 8 weeks, but we don't charge you anything more. The cost of the program is the cost of the program. If the program ends up being 7 months or 8 months or 9 months, it is what it is. We just work with you as far as like how things are going. So basically you get those tests when you sign up, we run those tests. When I get those results back from the lab, I will put together an amazing protocol for you. I will interpret the tests very much like what I did on here, but it'll be a written report. And then I will create a protocol for you, what to do with your nutrition, what to do with your lifestyle, what to do with your fitness. I might add in some supplementation, but I can tell you right off the bat, I am not a crazy supplementer. I have been on the other side of things as far as being a client, and I've had practitioners give me 20 supplements, like to the point where I had a spreadsheet to organize when I was taking all these supplements. And I think that is crazy town. I think it's too much. Like, it's another stress. It's another thing that you have to worry about. It's a lot of money spending in all those supplements. And I don't think supplements are magic. I really don't. They're not medications. I think there's something that you have to do long term. Like, they're not going to work overnight. I think you need to take them for 2, 3, 4, 5 months before like you really see something happen from them. So I like supplements, but I'm not a crazy supplementer by any means. I really think the nutrition and lifestyle makes a lot more sense. And as I say to my clients, like, you have to eat 3 to 4 to 5 times a day, however often you're eating. So it just makes more sense to me to reach for those foods that are high in certain minerals and nutrients and protein and all that, instead of just supplementing your way out of it. So I will always push you towards food first. I do think those supplements can get you to a place that you want to be, maybe a little bit quicker, but I will always, push the food first. And then with this offer that I'm going to give you guys, if you do pay in full for the program, like you're all in 100%, you'll get an additional HTMA at the end of the program to retest, to see how your minerals have changed. And then also it can be a starting point for you to work on that next HTMA to continue to get results. So you'll have another protocol to work on. We'll basically like adjust your protocol so that if you decide that you're done after 6 months, like you could still keep working on your health. So I think it's a good way to kind of like wrap up the program. You show your progress, but then also what's next? What are the things I'm going to focus on moving forward? So you can just feel really good about what you're doing. So like I said, there's a customized protocol based off results. We do initial consultation with goal setting. That's where I'm like gathering information. A lot of times it's, 30 minutes on the phone, just, talking through everything. We start I should say this. So the first month we do all the testing, the protocol, the review session is on Zoom, and I'll go through all your test results in the protocol so you know what to do. And then months 2 through 6, you work with one of the coaches on my team. And that's where really the nutrition piece comes into play, the accountability, the support, because, if we create this amazing protocol for you, you have all these things you're supposed to do, and then you don't do it, like you're just not going to get good results. So a lot of times, like what most of this nutrition coaching is doing the same boring things again and again. And it's just consistency. And I think having a coach can help you be consistent. And then also, committing to this program, it lights a fire under your butt to do what you need to do. You're just going to get so much further committing yourself to a program with a plan that you can execute. So months 2 through 6 are really all about like getting it done as far as execution goes. And I should say, even though you're working with one of the coaches on my team as far as weekly check-ins and communication and all that, we use WhatsApp. It's, a free voice messaging app. It's like Voxer or one of those, but we've used it for years. But even though your coach is your point of contact, I give all of our clients my number on WhatsApp. So you are welcome to reach out to me at any time. Like if you have questions, you want to give me updates, if things aren't working, we can make adjustments. If things are working and you want to let me know, that's great too. But I am literally on my phone all the time. Like talking to clients. But that's the thing. If you sign up for Carrots and Cake, you are my client. It's just, I can't do, we have like 45 clients right now. I can't do 45 check-ins every single week. I will be checking in people like the entire week, and I won't be able to do all the other things that I need to do as far as running this business and making those amazing reels of me dancing in my kitchen, so got lots going on. But my coaches, they're amazing. Emma, she has worked with me for a million years. I took her from the design to fit days, and she's been with me ever since. She's an amazing coach. People love her. She is very realistic. I think her and my other coach, Allison, they're both very much in tune with my approach as far as 80-20, Carrots and Cake lifestyle, and then also just being realistic. Like they're both moms. Emma has 2 little kids at home. She gets it. She's not going to tell a fellow mom that she's going to spend 4 hours on a Sunday meal prepping when she's got 2 little kids running around. Like, we get it. Like we get this lifestyle stuff. Like we're only going to make things work for you that you can handle, you know what I mean? Or give things for you that you can handle. And I think where Emma really excels is really simplifying things for people, because I do think sometimes women in general just get overwhelmed. There's like so many things that you could do. They like don't know what to do. So I think with her, she really tries to make it simple and have you focus on, 1 or 2 things each week, and really just working on like the mindset around it and making sure you're doing those 1 or 2 things really, really well. But she's great. She's also a personal trainer. So she's really good as far as like the fitness stuff goes and can offer advice and everything. And she's had her own health struggles, so she can relate to, different hormonal things and whatnot, that our clients have related to. And then Allison, also a mom, her kids are older. She has 1 in college, 1 in high school. She used to do, or actually she still does, the physique competitions, like the bikini composition, stuff like that. And so she's 47, 48. She's in her late 40s. So again, she can relate to this perimenopause, hormones changing, all that, but she knows how to change your body composition when you're in this phase of your life. Like she has done it. She competed last August or maybe the August before. She's done it in recent times, but she knows how to change the body and how to manipulate the body in a way to get you the best results as far as body composition goes. And she is also wonderful and nice and amazing, but she'll give you tough love when you need it. Like she'll look at your food diary, and we don't nitpick food diaries by any means. It's carrots and cake. Like I have wine, I have Doritos. Like I'm never gonna get on anybody's case about eating what they want. But she'll look at your food diary and be like, oh, you had a lot of sodium this week. Is that why the scale is up a couple pounds? You know what I mean? So she gives it to you if you need it, but that's what we need sometimes as far as getting good results. So different coaches, but they're very much in line with my thinking as far as carrots and cake, having a holistic approach. And they're just awesome human beings. And they've been doing this coaching thing for a while now. Anyways, but we start the coaching part, the months 2 through 6, with a comprehensive nutrition audit. And what I mean by that is we have you weigh and measure your food, track your food, read food labels, read portion sizes, but really like it's a starting point for us. Like, what are you eating? How much are you eating? And I think this exercise can be really helpful and eye-opening for you, because like a lot of us, we're winging it. We don't know what we're eating. We're guesstimating. We're eating chicken nuggets off our kids' plates. We're grabbing random crackers from the cabinet. Like we're just winging it over here, a lot of us. So with this, it really has you get back to basics. And from that information, it's going to help you figure out what you need to focus on. Do you need to eat more protein? Do you need to eat more during the day so you don't eat the whole kitchen? And then also it gives your coach a little bit of information as far as, do they need to put you on a reverse diet? Have you been under eating for a really long time? Have you been eating too much and maybe it's time to get back to maintenance? Is your goal to build muscle? All right, we need to maybe eat a little bit more and eat the right types of food and increase your strength training. So it really kind of depends on what your goals are, but that nutrition audit really gives us a starting point. And if you want to do the macros, we can give you targets as far as not necessarily like hitting your macros. A lot of times we'll give people ranges because, we're not robots, but I think I'm the perfect example. Like my protein goal, it's a work in progress forever. But if I get anywhere from 100 to 130 grams, I'm good to go. So for a lot of clients, we do that because, yeah, we're not robots. We don't eat the same way every single day. And I think having those ranges makes you feel a little bit more successful instead of doing the macros and being like, I suck, I didn't hit my protein goal today. So I think it can be really helpful having kind of some wiggle room, and it can just make you more consistent as far as what you're doing. We have weekly check-ins. We do them over WhatsApp a lot of the times. It could be a quick message. Hey, everything's great. I'm having a great week. My period was regular. I didn't have cramps, whatever it is. Or it could be the sky is falling. Everything sucks. I need a pep talk. So it really kind of depends on what you need from week to week. And then we do have a little check-in form where we have you rate your habits, because you need to do the things to get the results. And a lot of those habits are drinking water, getting to bed at a normal hour, eating fruits and veggies, whatever it is. We have a whole bunch of habits, but we have you rate those. And I think that's a chance for you to kind of slow down and really be honest with yourself. Like, am I doing what I need to do to get results? Yes, this is why I'm getting results. No, this is why I'm not getting results. And then we have you rate your biofeedback, because we need to know how you are feeling. Because yeah, if you're eating X, Y, and Z, great. But how is your body responding? Are you sleeping through the night? Is your period regular? How's your mood? So we want to know everything about you as far as are things working or not working? So the check-in process, it can be as involved or as short and sweet as it needs to be. And we understand women are busy. We understand that there's a lot going on. So we don't want to make this another thing for you to do, but at the same time, we are here for you. We want to help you, and we'll give 110%. We want you to do the same. And really, we're available 24/7 on WhatsApp. You can leave us a message at any time of day. Obviously, we kind of have business hours, 9 to 5 or whatever it is. The weekends, we might be a little bit slower to reply to you, but we'll always get back to you. I mean, we are in touch with our clients all the time. Also, we have regular feedback on your food diary. If you decide to track your food in MyFitnessPal or, another app, we use MyFitnessPal just because I think it's the easiest. We can see what you're eating for good or bad. It really depends on the client if they want to do that. But, if you're having a day, you're like, I can't hit my protein goal. I don't know what to eat when I'm going to this restaurant. Can you give me some ideas? We're happy to weigh in, and that's kind of why we're here. But really, we're just trying to help you eat better, eat more nutritious food. So we're happy to weigh in. Oh yeah, unlimited communication with your coach. We also have an online portal for our one-on-one clients, and really it's kind of just like a resource center. There's like tons of recipes, tons of macro-friendly recipes. There's little ebooks, so like all breakfast recipes, all dessert recipes, you know, like little things like that. So if you're like looking for ideas for what to eat, we have endless recipes. We have sample meal plans. If you're somebody who's like, oh, I need to eat more protein, we have like a protein packed meal plan. We have one for vegetarians, protein packed vegetarian meals. We have one for PCOS. We have one for thyroid health. Like we have a million sample plans that can help you as far as, you know, what you're doing with your nutrition. Just to give you examples, like you don't have to follow them specifically. Like we have a seed cycling one. There's endless stuff. Trying to think what else is in there. There's a couple trainings as far as, you know, how to control sugar cravings and how to seed cycle and little things like that. We have some fun workouts in there. You know, we don't program workouts for you. It's not that personalized, but you do get discounts on carrots and cake programs. We do have some fun sample workouts that we can always send you if you're just looking for a workout. But yeah, we totally incorporate what you're doing as far as fitness goes with your nutrition. Because a lot of times the fitness needs to be coordinated with the nutrition so you get the results that you want. I think most women are trying to build muscle, so we just need to coordinate that. And then we do have a Facebook community where you can get support. I think we almost have like 2,800 people or something in there, but it's a great place to be as far as just like getting that extra support and accountability and just see what these ladies are doing as far as their health and nutrition and all that. And then just a quick note. So as far as the Dutch goes, like if you're taking the pill, like hormonal birth control or the Mirena or one that has hormones in it, it's not, I mean, you could do it. It's just not going to give us the best results because the Dutch only detects natural hormones. It's not going to test those synthetic hormones that are in the pill. And really what the pill and the IUD does, it shuts down your natural hormones. So we would do the Dutch and then the sex hormones just come back saying that you have none, or they'd be like super duper low. So it's not super accurate. You could run it if you wanted to see what was going on with your cortisol. So that could be helpful. So if you're in that boat, we could run it and just see what's going on with your cortisol, which could be helpful. And then if you decide that you want to do this functional testing, you can run the HTMA. It doesn't matter if you're on the pill or hormones for that. But we can always take the cost of the Dutch off the functional program. So you're not paying for it and you could still do this functional program with just the HTMA. So that's an option. Just send us a message and we'll work it out for you. And then if you have the copper IUD, you can run the Dutch. It's not, well, it's not going to like mess with the results, but you will probably see very high estrogen and very low progesterone. But it's information, it's data for you. Okay, and this is the offer that we're doing right now for you guys. I mean, anybody who signs up before, I don't know, like the 16th, because, well, maybe the week of the 19th, we can be flexible, but definitely before that final week of December, because we are shutting down. I am taking a vacation. Well, I'm not taking a vacation. I'm probably just gonna be hanging out in my house, but we're taking time off as far as that like post Christmas week, and my coaches are taking time off. So we're not gonna be ordering tests. We're not gonna be doing intake calls, any of that stuff. So just wanna give you the heads up to sign up before, you know, we all go on Christmas break, just so you can hit the ground running. And obviously, the sooner you sign up, the sooner you get the test, sooner you get the results, the sooner you can get going with everything. So just pointing that out. And the offer right now is that if you sign up and you pay in full, so you're 100% in, you're going to save $205 off the cost of the program. And then you also get that free HTMA retest at the end. And that's, you know, a $397 value, which includes the test, the interpretation, the protocol, the review session, like all that good stuff. So great program. Obviously, I think it's a great program, but it's a good option. Like if you're thinking, you're like, yes, I want to do this, like, you know, go all in, do the whole thing. It'll be awesome. And got any questions, guys? That was a lot. How'd we do? Oh, it was a whole hour. I'm sorry. I knew I had a lot to say. How do we get signed up? Yes. So you guys, I'm going to send out this presentation recording. I have to figure out actually where I'm going to put this recording. But I'm going to send out this recording shortly after that. And there's going to be a bunch of links and everything in it as far as this offer and how to sign up and all that good stuff. So that will be coming shortly as soon as I get my act together and figure out where we're going to put this video, because now I'm on YouTube, and there's like, YouTube has very like specific rules about how you publish content. You have to do it weekly and all that. So I used to use YouTube to upload this stuff, but I don't think I can now. So might be on my blog. I don't know. I'll put the recording somewhere, but I'll be emailing it out, and there'll be a link there to sign up. And the link will put you right to this offer where you get the $205 off the free HTMA. And then basically when you sign up, we'll get your order, and then we'll send you some paperwork to fill out via a site called Practice Better. And it's all HIPAA compliant and everything, but it's really just your medical history, what's going on with you, any diagnosis, any medications, what the heck are your symptoms, what are you dealing with? But we really just need that information, obviously, to get to know you better, but we need that to order your tests, because we just need your mailing address, your birthday, and like that type of stuff. But yeah, we can get you going this week. If I have an IUD, is there another way to benefit from the information the Dutch test provides? So yeah, you could absolutely run it. It's just, we'll see like really, really low hormones or no hormones, like if you're on the Mirena or something like that, because those hormones, you know, they're like shutting off like your natural hormones. So the cortisol part of the test could be really helpful. There is a neurotransmitter part of the test that I didn't go over just because this was an hour long without going over that, but there's some neurotransmitters that can be helpful as far as digestion, your absorption of certain like B vitamins, neuroinflammation, insights into the gut, your ability to break down proteins and amino acids and mood and stuff like that. So there's definitely like, oh, melatonin's on there that wouldn't be affected. So there are some markers that could be helpful. It just, yeah, that sex hormone stuff like wouldn't be super duper accurate, but it could still be helpful. And then of course the HTMA, which I think is foundational compared to the Dutch. I would say if you had like the little pyramid, minerals would be here, like hormones would be here. So I think the minerals can impact those hormones. So you could just do the HTMA and just really focus on that. I think we could still get a lot of good info from that. HTMA is the best. I think I'm going to do one pretty soon. Just need to cut my hair. All right, any other questions, guys? I mean, I'm happy to stay on to chat more. I know I went long. I just have so much to say about these tests. And like I said, you can get so much from it, and it's fascinating, and it can just make your goals more attainable in the sense that you are doing things that are going to move the dial and get you better results, instead of, you know, throwing spaghetti at the wall, you know, buying BCAAs and random supplements on the internet, and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. Question is, do you suggest supplements or brands to use in the program? Yeah, so on the review call that I have with you, so we'll get the test results, I'll put together a protocol, tell you what to do as far as like nutrition, lifestyle, exercise, all that, or make recommendations. I can't tell you what to do. Not a doctor, can't prescribe. And then all of it's self-treatment. But the supplements, yeah. So I'll make recommendations as far as ideal supplements to use, the brands. So Practice Better, the site where you fill out all the paperwork, and that's where your protocol will be. And we'll upload your lab results and everything. It's basically like a portal for like all your stuff when you're working with us. But that program or that portal is attached to a online dispensary called FullScript, and they have all different supplement brands, like a bazillion, but basically they're connected. So if I, you know, recommend 3 different supplements from you, you can buy them all through FullScript. You don't have to go to the individual sites and everything. And then of course, yeah, I have favorite brands of like protein powder and things like that, that I'll make recommendations. A lot of times I do have, you know, relationships with the company. So sometimes you get discounts and whatnot. But yeah, it really just kind of depends on the client. But on that call, we'll go over some of that stuff. And then of course, you know, you can always message me on WhatsApp if you're like, this protein thing isn't happening, what do you recommend? And I can give you some protein powder options. I don't know. Or you can talk to your coach. I mean, they're there too for that. So, but yeah, there's definitely like specific brands that I really like. And I think using a dispensary like FullScript is a little bit better than like Amazon. I also think Amazon supplements are really expensive. I really think they like mark them up a lot. So with FullScript, they're a little bit more affordable too. All right, guys, I mean, I'm going to wrap up. Like I said, I'll send this recording out. The offer will be in those emails with links to sign up. And then if anything pops up, if you guys have questions or anything like that, you guys know how to track me down. I'm on Instagram all the time. You can always send us an email at info@carrot2cake. We'll get right back to you as far, like if you have a specific situation or you just want to like ask us questions before you sign up, because I know this is like a commitment, it's an investment, it's 6 months of your life. And as I say, timing is everything. Like the timing needs to be right for you. So if you need to sleep on it, a week goes by, you want to sign up, we're here. All right, guys, thanks for coming today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I didn't overwhelm you. I think the message is these tests are awesome. They can give you really good data and they're just helpful. They're helpful as far as just like giving you the data to do the things that are going to get you the best results. All right, guys, have a great day.